What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Fire Force Season 3, Episode 18. So in this one, Vulcan, you, Lisa, and Arthur are going inside Amaterasu, and while the rest of company and the other Fire Force they're holding off the White Clad. So Dr. Giovanni attacks, so Arthur sees a bug and he goes off on his own, and Giovanni attacks Vulcan, you, and Lisa. So they try to fight him off, and they use like Lisa's abilities to like disrupt the magnetic field connecting the insects. And then yeah, so and then Yu's infected with the bug, basically Vulcan and Lisa tried to delay the bug in order to like keep Yu from turning to a full on infernal. So they defeat Giovanni with Vulcan smashing like the head, smashing like his bug head where. But then it's real that that Giovanni had put his personality inside of you, so he's controlling Yu's body, and he has the key to Amaterasu, and he inserts it into the lock, with pi being the combination, whatever. And so the Great Cataclysm's about to happen. So yeah, I thought it was a great episode. It was funny, like, and it's funny. So there's a bit where Arthur, after he defeats a bug, he's like, "Oh, he knows a Vulcan, you and Lisa are missing." He sees all the bugs. He's like, "Oh, it's a rescue quest," and that bit was funny. But the fight against Giovanni was awesome. His attacks are freaking cool. The way Vulcan, Lisa dealt with it. Of course, and also with you, that's gonna be big. But yeah, a great cataclysm starting. We are about to see the Soul Eater world, and hopefully a sequel, and hopefully a remake of Soul Eater. You know, but yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, Season 2, Episode 5. So, in this episode, Frieren, Fern, and Stark come across a dwarf named Fast, basically, who's past 200 years has been trying to find this legendary beer, or legendary liquor, whatever, like, called, like, Bullfast. And, like, basically, so the liquor, like, so the basically, yeah, so like the liquor, like, so Furin, like, was not really wanting to do it to find it, but then yeah, and so the liquor's called Boss Chaff or Emperor's Spirit. Basically, it's believed to be the greatest beer ever, greatest like liquor ever, and so Furin so Fast offers like a bunch of gold in order to you know, release like break a seal that's guarding it. Um, yeah, there's like a seal that's guarding it. Basically, it would take 3 months to unseal it, and Fern start knowing that the money is gonna be very useful, convince Fern to agree because Fern was originally gonna say no because she cares more about grimoires than money. So after 3 months, Fern finally breaks seal. They get the liquor. Basically, Frieren remembers that the one who made the wrote the stuff on the walls was called Milliard. It was an elf that Frieren knew. Basically, the liquor tastes awful, and basically, but they all kind of laugh off the fact, like they laugh off the fact that it sucked. And so Fast is like, yeah, he's gonna make the entire village suffer with him. And it's like the flashback of always. So Hyder, who really liked really liked drinking alcohol. They had to like basically drag him away from the mine, from like the mines where the liquor was believed to be at. And it's so funny. And yeah, but Hyder had said in the flashback that even if it tastes terrible, it means he's still willing to share amongst his friends. And that's kind of like what happens, like because basically, Frieren and the fast flashback with Milliard basically called the boss, like, called it some cheap liquor that they're selling in stands. So basically, sounds like it's kind of like, I guess, like what Bud Light is seeing in real life, or Bud Light seems like, some cheap beer. Basically, it's cheap beer, or I've heard people call it piss water or something. You know, I mean, I don't drink, but like for basically how people see Bud Light seems to be how Boss Chef is seen as by those who actually drink it. But yeah, and then after that, they go to a city run by the Norm Train Company. Rieren's basically on like a wanted poster esque, not necessarily full on where it's like she's committed a crime, but basically she owes money of 80-year-old debt from when she was in the Heroes Party, and the grandson of the Norm Company head who basically found the company and gave loaned money to the Heroes Party. Uh, Basically the grandson, who's a lot more strict about paying debts than his grandfather, basically says it's time to collect. And so Fearon basically has to work for 300 years in a mine. Now Fern Stark try to figure out how to, figure out how to get the debt taken away. And basically, the calculations for how, like, when it comes to interest and stuff, suggest you have to work 300 years. So she's like, yeah, my journey's over. And turns out the real goal is that, so like, he needs, Frieren's magic to find silver deposits that Frieren could use that could save the company from, like, decline. So, they'll be able to keep running. And it would actually also, make the company very profitable and actually pay off the debt a lot quicker. So yeah, because basically they've lost a lot of people to like demons and stuff, like a lot of people. So the guy's not a total prick, but he's a shrewd businessman and very strict about you know paying up. But he's not like a complete dick. He actually cares about his people. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Liked how it's gonna be interesting seeing how like a lot of the rest of this arc goes. The stuff with the liquor was freaking funny, and like and man, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Joe's college road trip. So this is a part of the Medea franchise. But now it focuses more on like Medea's brother Joe than does on like Medea. Now, granted, a lot of Medea movies, Medea's not necessarily like the main character. Like generally, Medea is technically like a supporting, always generally like a supporting character, unless she's like the main comic relief. This predominantly focuses on Joe Simmons, Medea's brother, who lives with her. Um, so Brian, Joe's son, So his son BJ, which I'm guessing means Brian Jr., is graduating high school, and he's planning on going to Pepperdine in Malibu, California, and taking a road trip with his friends there. And there's a whole thing where basically BJ been accepted in the Morehouse, Brian's excited, of his son being sent to an HBCU. BJ's like he wants to go Pepperdine, and basically like yeah, so and like so you know Pepperdine is it's a private school in you know you know California, associated with the Churches of Christ, you know, and so and yeah, so in Morehouse, that's where Martin Luther King went to college, HBCU, and basically, I guess BJ's friends, I guess, didn't know what HBCU was. Brian explained, historically black college university, and he's like, and basically, yeah, there is actually a funny conversation where where they're like, well, were there historically white colleges? Then Brian's like, yeah, there were. Which I mean, look, in history, a lot of the big universities, today, like a lot of them were, whites only. Unfortunately, it sucked, and that is why HBCUs were made so African Americans could have, could get a good education. Of course, integration happened, and basically the integration happened. The civil rights movement was a success. And BJ says, with all this, he's like basically like with slavery, so like basically he said, he say like he basically words is black people need to move on, you know. And then Brian's concerned he tries to go to Joe and Medea for advice. They give him a bunch of bad advice, and he's like, yeah, I don't know why I come over here. And because you have Joe, he uses the F bomb and N word a lot. Um, and Joe, he as far as his education, Joe's education was only up to like third grade, and basically he was a pimp and kind of an abusive father. And basically part of like so BJ he drives an electric car, and he's a vegan, which being a vegan, so that explains a lot of his person. That fact that he's a vegan, that explains a lot. And, basically he gets this gluten free thing, whatever, and so now I am actually surprised he doesn't know because you would think in current day schools a lot of stuff is brought up more for reasons. Like and so at like some celebration whatever they give like some who like get is like in college, oh, even though you're not going to college, we're gonna still give you a scholarship because you're worth it. I'm like, oh, you giving these participation trophies? Oh, bull crap. And yeah, Brian's like, oh, really? Participation trophy? That's crap. And and it is implied by one of their parents that BJ's scores may have been artificially inflated so that the private school that he was going to could keep its diversity quota. And when teachers tried to give BJ like alternative tests as a probably easier test to make it easier to pass, Brian said he didn't want that crap happening. But it's implied that they may have artificially like his grades, like to inflate his grades, which shouldn't happen for anyone, regardless of circumstance. No, everyone should earn their grades. Like you can't learn if you're not made to earn it. And now BJ does seem to be a smart kid. Like he knows some things now. He has some. common sense issues. It doesn't know about the real world, and basically definitely doesn't know how to talk to people. I mean, and I mean, of course, he's on like that TikTok, or I like how Joe he's like ticker talker. I was like, yeah, I feel you, Joe. I don't, I don't, I feel you, Joe, about when it comes to TikTok. I don't blame you. So, so basically, then the idea is for Joe to take BJ on the road trip, on that road trip. Now, one location that BJ and his friends were going to was Graceland, where Elvis lived, in Memphis, which honestly, that'd be a great freaking place to go to. I mean, that's where Elvis lived. I mean, you have, the birthplace in Tupelo, then you have, Graceland. I mean, gosh. And, basically, one of the things that pissed Brian Joe McNeil off is that where BJ said that Elvis invented rock and roll. And, like, so, I mean, now, with regards to, like, you know, rock and roll, I mean, a lot of I mean, look, as far as, like, I mean, look, I mean, rock and roll, its evolution, like its origins, it is one. I mean, because like the term, like basically, like because like like rock and roll for like basically it is there it is actually a complicated origin. There's a lot of stuff that led to it, and yes, you had Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, Sister Rosetta Sharp, and Bo Diddley, Ike Turner, and like a lot of those. Yeah, you had a lot of the ones. Basically, I would argue amongst them, Chuck Berry might be the one with the biggest claim. Him and and basically, of course, now Elvis. I mean, let's be real. It doesn't. I mean, because Elvis was heavily involved, because Elvis, while Elvis may not have invented it, he put it on the freaking map, and he took it to the stratosphere. He took rock and roll to the stratosphere, and that could not be denied. Like the impact Elvis did, even with I mean, because Elvis was a guy who appealed to both blacks and whites, black people and white people. Anyway, so the road trip. So yeah, Joe skips Graceland, but he takes them to various random, seemingly random locations, and Joe his personality, like how he talks, how he basically the fact that he has a car that runs on gasoline, not on electric, whatever. And he has a nice car. That is a nice old car. Like BJ's concerned, and how Joe prefers using a map over GPS, or it's like he throws BJ's phone out the window. And they stay in a motel. They stay in various locations. And Joe knows bunch of random people he from these locations. I mean, probably guessing from his time as a pimp. And so they go to some brothel, and well, BJ doesn't even know it's a brothel. How, I don't know why it took him so long to figure that out. So basically, Joe tries to get him a prostitute, and basically a newer one named Destiny's chosen for him. She basically she was trafficked, and now she ended up there, and basically she wants to escape. So BJ helps her escape, and when they run and basically when they the in the car, something happens where Joe ends up finding Destiny, and he and like then a bunch of crooks who had trafficked Destiny try to chase him. There's a whole bit where Joe leaves Destiny and BJ like basically on their own because like basically like the arguments between BJ and Joe get so big, and then Brian once he learns about the whole like once he learns that BJ's on his own, like he gets books a flight, and he hears about named when Destiny he's able to learn basically how her she was trafficked, and it allows him to to figure out where they're at. And Joe learns about the crooks chasing Destiny, so he gets back to him, and then and basically Joe has some gun. He has guns with him. He has a gun with him, and like BJ then like during the whole bit he's went trying to use it wants to use a gun. He needs to use a gun, and he basically gets get on. And basically, and he starts talking like Joe in order to get Joe to get him to give him the gun. So Joe gives him the gun. BJ starts shooting, and then he tries to like talk him down, like beat him with words. They run away. He thinks he did it, but it turns out yeah, no, it's because cops were coming. Now, what thing was funny earlier is that when BJ and Destiny were on their own, they got like a little like motel room or something, basically to lay low. And and basically Destiny convinces him to like have sex with her. And Joe he tells by the mood like when they're in the whole chase that he's he's looking at PJ. He's like he basically congratulates him on getting laid. And so basically once the crooks leave, Brian he's concerned about BJ acting talking like Joe, but he is happy when BJ says that he's gonna go to the Morehouse. And it's revealed that the locate during like the whole conversation between BJ and Destiny that those random seemingly random locations were all locations from past events in African American history, like a lot of the tragic events that had happened due to racism back in the day. And basically, like Joe was wanting to teach BJ about all that stuff. Now he didn't mention jack squat about anything. I mean, if he's going to teach it, he should I don't know bring it up if you want to teach him. Which I mean, here's the thing. I think a lot of stuff would have been taught in schools, at least a significant portion. Obviously, it's kind of hard for any topic to go over every little detail in a school. Unfortunately, just due to time. But a lot of stuff, it's like, yeah, I feel like a lot of it would have been covered. Like, yeah. So, and as far as the quality, the jokes hit really like I would say the jokes hit really well, and they go after both sides politically. Like you have Joe mocking like pronoun stuff, and basically like it goes after both sides of the political aisle, and yeah, and so especially like the first half, like the first like basically before Destiny gets in, the movies is just like on point. It's like joke after joke, and it's just funny. And this whole bit where the reason BJ agrees to go with Joe is that Brian lies and said that basically Joe has cancer. And there's a whole argument about when it's revealed, the lies revealed. And yeah, so basically the whole banter, like how they're Joe and BJ's conflicting personalities are like, it's just so funny that Brian talking with Joe. It's a lot of it's pretty funny because Brian's kind of like the balance middle point between BJ and Joe. And Medea when she appears, it's always funny. And this whole joke about like Brian saying he didn't want BJ to be afraid of him, like like how he was afraid of Joe because how Joe raised him. And Joe's like, well, you're supposed. Did Joe say, you're supposed to fear your parents, like that's how you get them to behave. And then mention how I guess he and Medea were scared of their mother, and that Medea, anytime she walks by the picture of her mother, she has to do the whole Catholic cross gesture, or whatever. Yeah, I thought that was funny. So it's like, yeah, a little dose of fear never hurt anyone. You know, I mean, obviously, don't want to be abusive. That's a whole different discussion. Like, yes, a little fear does help to a certain extent, not to the point of abuse. That is a whole other thing. But yeah, dude, it is so like the jokes were freaking hilarious. Now the second half of the movie, like around when Desi comes, it gets a little off the rails and a little preachy with stuff. Like it's like, okay, yes, sad is very sad that these events happened. You know, unfortunately, we can't change the past. We can only learn from it. But it's like, with how Brian raised BJ to not see things through race, or whatever, which is a good thing. That is how kids should be, like, not seeing things through race. Like how you had the famous South Park episode with the flag, where all the kids thought that the whole controversy of the flag was about a guy being hanged, not the fact that it was African American. And and all the adults were like, wait, we're shocked that the kids weren't seeing it by race, and they were inspired to change, to do something because of it. Like I thought was like, and so it's like, yeah, we should not look at things by race. Should we learn from our past? Yes, but I think it's like the whole with the whole black people to move on comment. I think the point is, but it was like regards a lot of it's like the Bible says forgive. The Bible says forgive. So forgiveness, and with all the progress that has been made, we things can't have been better, and like and yeah, so it gets a little preachy near the end, but it's like it still gets a lot of really good humor. But overall, I thought it was a decent movie. You know, definitely a lot of language for a Medea movie. Overall, I thought it was a decent movie. I recommend watching it. Scarlet. So this is a movie that technically released last year, but it released in the United States this year. Yeah, it's freaking it's Hollywood. The whole awards qualifying run, but before doing an actual wide release, which is retarded, especially for an anime movie. Dear gosh. Anyway, so the main character is Princess Scarlet, who's Princess of Denmark. Her father is Amlet, King Amlet, and so her father's like a good king, heavily respected by the people. Amlet's brother Claudius is like having an affair with Amlet's wife Gertrude, and basically Gertrude and Claudius basically they plan to usurp Amlet. So Claudius makes false claims that Amlet, side with the enemies of Denmark and has betrayed the nation. The people don't believe it. They know Hamlet wouldn't do that, and so Claudius has Hamlet executed, and Hamlet tries to yell something to Scarlet, but our Scarlet can hear. And when she runs down to try to get closer to hear it, he's already dead. And she trains with the sword, hand to hand combat in order to prepare to kill Claudius. And during like some like a banquet, whatever, she goes there. She tries to poison Claudius, and yeah, Claudius like basically so yeah so and but and he like falls asleep and she like tries to like stab him, but then she starts collapsing from apparently she was poisoned. And like Claude says and basically seems to have suspected an assassination attempt from her. And Scarlet dies, and she like ends up in this place called the other world, basically afterlife. It's like a whole I mean, first she was like being grabbed by a bunch of like dead people hands with her, but she ended up breaking out of that and ended up in the other world, which is a barren wasteland. And so you have people in there who are who and basically trying to find something called the Infinity Lands, and like supposed to be some paradise area in the other world. And then after that, like goes there, she fights off some of Claudius's people. And she learns that Claudius is a. She originally was gonna let when she learned her father was basically a fade in nothingness. She was gonna let herself fall into nothingness by the hands, but when she learned Claudius is alive, not but dead, but inside like the other one, she breaks out and decides to go hunt Claudius. So she fights some soldiers and comes across a 21st century like medic named Hidri who doesn't know how he died. He didn't even know he was dead at first. So they're attacked by Cornelius, one of like the soldiers that had aided in the coup. Cornelius is injured and let go, but he tells like Scarlet basically where Claudius is at, and so Scarlet and Idri make their way. And Cornelius is like goes back to like Claudius's castle. He's like beaten whatever. And so Scarlet Hydra they see a caravan getting attacked by bandits, and then I'm like, hoping they join with the caravan, bond with them, basically become friendly with them, and like Hydra tries to get Scarlet to give up on revenge and not choose violence, and then so the Scarlet Hydra when they split from the caravan, they come across Voltman's group. So Voltman's one of the other people who helped with the coup, and after defeating Voltman, after like there's and, like so Voltman offers asks to be spared in exchange for giving telling Scott what Hamlet's last words were, which were forgive, and they try to figure out what he meant. They give different theories. He thinks that, and basically and it's different what it was forgive Hamlet for not being able to grow up to see, for not being able to live long to see Scarlet grow up. Where Voltman says maybe the way Hamlet said it seemed like it was like Hamlet was telling Scarlet to forgive like Claudius. Scarlet doesn't want to do that. Voltman's he and his group are let go. But he kind of parts peacefully with Scarlet Hydra. Scarlet Hydra joined with this giant group of people heading towards Claudius's castle. And, like a whole big battle starts, and so then you know Rosencrantz and I think it's Guildenstern are sent after Scarlet. And, basically, Hydri helps save her from them and like kill them. Now he's like stabbed, he's stabbed, but so he's slightly bleeding and he's injured. And then basically they get up to the summit, wherever they don't know where it's at. And then they're attacked by Polonius and Laertes. And then Voltmon and Cornelius arrive to help them to help defeat Polonius and Laertes, and they tell Scarlet to walk up these. Basically, they point up to where the Infinity Lanes are, where Claudius is at. So she walks up Scarlet walks up these like clear stairs up to where the Infinity Gate door is at, and yes, like, and then well, she walks up the stairs, walks across the water, and Honor ends up at the gate, at the door, whatever, and she sees Claudius. Claudius is mad will not be able to be let in. So, and he likes offer, and he like prays, asks for alleged claims to repent, asks for forgiveness, and Scarlet puts down her sword. She's hesitant when she sees him pray for forgiveness, and she basically she tells Claudius that she'll never forgive him, but she's done fighting because of like her basically her fire spirit told her to like not like to basically forgive Claudius, to not be obsessed with revenge. And so Claudius and like tries to kill Scarlet, but then like this, so there's like a dragon that appears throughout the movie, like a big dragon, and you see these birds where so this dragon does a lightning attack on Claudius, like burning him to death, like screaming to death. And then, Hydra and all the other people arrive up. And this old lady, who I guess who runs the other world, arrives saying that between Hydra and Scarlet, one's alive, one's not. And basically, they like so Scarlet thinks it's Hydra, which Hydra says not. That's actually Scarlet. That Scarlet is the one alive. As Hydra starts to fade away, Scarlet and Hydra, who had developed like feelings for each other, they kiss before for basically Hydra fades away and Scarlet's taken back into the world of the living where she wakes up. Basically, she was given an antidote for the poison. And, Claudius is dead, and, Gertrude is pissed off. Just runs off with who knows around her. And so Scarlet, like, basically, becomes the ruling queen of Denmark and offers to use her position to make a peaceful world, so that no children have to die and all that, and also for her case, also prevent, make it to where maybe Hydri's death doesn't happen like it did. But yeah, so I thought it was a decent movie. Obviously it takes a lot of inspiration from, the legend of, like, it takes a lot of inspiration from, the legend of Amlet, so, that's an actual, like, that is actually that is an actual like legend of Denmark back in the like Amleth, that is a legend. So, and now obviously there's a lot of differences between the legend and the Shakespearean play, and like so, and you have some of the character names from Hamlet used for this movie. Now, like in the so I thought this was a decent movie. As far as the animation, the 2D animation's really good. Like the 3D has its problems. It's not like terrible, but it has its problems. The dragon looked freaking awesome. I thought the characters were good. It was interesting seeing like Hijiri with his, more high tech medical stuff interacting with like other eras. So the other world's interesting. Like you have basically time flows differently there, so you have people from different eras show up. So it's very interesting. So I thought like the whole like Scar's process of questioning where revenge is the right path. That was it. My only criticism is that so the movie's an hour 52. I think it could have been shorter. Like some stuff could have been cut down a little bit to like make it a little short, especially the whole dance sequence thing. I think that could have been shortened a lot. Like the whole when she has a base, she has a fire vision or something. Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. Recommend watching it. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.